To the untrained eye, this might appear to be a BMW M3, and, well, it is, actually, but it's not just any M3. This is also one of the rarest and most hardcore M cars ever built. Welcome back to Paul Bentley Limited. Welcome back to the farm. It's great to have you. And today we are talking, of course, about the one and only BMW E92 M3 GTS. This is an insanely rare, completely stripped out, track-focused variant of the E92 M3. Well, kind of, but also not really. You know, although it might at first glance appear quite similar to an E92 M3, this thing really is a different beast, but I'll take you through that today. So, first of all, why? Why on earth would BMW make such an aggressive, hardcore and orange car in the first place? More importantly, would anyone be willing to pay that equally hardcore price tag? The standard E92 M3 retailed at somewhere about 50, 60,000 pounds, there or thereabouts back in the day. So how much do you reckon the GTS retail for? 20,000 more? 30,000 more maybe? Well, not quite. The GTS landed at just a touch under 120,000 pounds. Yes, you heard that correctly. The GTS is about twice the price as the standard E92 M3. A staggering figure, to be sure. And you won't be surprised to learn that customers at the time looking for a very orange, very hardcore M3 retailing north of 100,000 pounds were quite scarce. Yeah, there weren't very many of them, but BMW were more than aware of this. And so they only committed to building 150 cars, making this one of the rarest production BMWs ever made. In fact, I think this is the 4th rarest production BMW of all time. Insanely rare. And it gets rarer still because although they committed to building 150, they only ended up completing 138 of them. And right-hand drive models like this, there were only ever 25 built, of which 17 would go on to be registered in the UK. So this is insanely rare. Put it this way, here in the UK, you are 4 times more likely to come across a Bugatti Veyron than you are one of these, and that's actually a real statistic. But in reality, it's the Yanks that I feel sorry for. You see, this car is so unbelievably bonkers, it didn't even come close to meeting DOT regulations and therefore was never officially sold in the US. And now we circle back to the question of why. Why on earth would BMW build such a hardcore, rare car? Well, the answer is they were doing so well in the GT series at the time, they literally said to themselves, well, there is very little competition on the track. We must now compete with everyone off the track as well. That is kind of unironically the real answer as well. In essence, this is a celebration of what BMW is capable of. And then moving on, I suppose we better talk about the colour, shall we? Because, you know, it is quite, well, it is a bit boring, isn't it? Jokes aside, it is incredibly polarising, actually, as it turns out. It just so happens that this colour is legitimately my favourite colour. This shade of orange is my all-time favourite colour. So, of course, I think this looks phenomenal. But the other guys at the farm, and I must mention some of the slightly older gentlemen around here, think that it looks infantile and chavvy. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, if you're going to have the most hardcore M car, might as well have a hardcore colour as well. This orange is called Fire Orange. It's named after combustion. That's cool. But if you are one of these fossils who believes that this belongs on a council estate somewhere, fear not, because they actually produced this car in a multitude of colours, including Fire Orange, and that's about it. So, you know, there's something for everyone. Having said that, there are whispers in the air that 2 were made in white. But other than that, you're stuck with the incredible Fire Orange. And moving on from cool colours onto cool names, you see, when this vehicle was in production, BMW designated it with the code name Jägermeister. Sounds cool. It might even trigger some of your PTSD for those of you who've had a particularly lively clubbing life. Named after the classic racing livery. Now, you know, everyone loves the Marlboro livery, but the Jaeger Orange has been heavily slept on, or certainly was, until the GTS came along. And if you didn't know, Jägermeister translates directly as Master Hunter, which, you know, for a track-bred demon, I think is a very suitable name, because you can use this weapon to hunt down your rivals both on and off the track. And like I mentioned earlier, this really is a different beast. It might, at a quick glance, appear to be an E92 M3. It certainly does share a lot of the same design language and DNA, but the reality is this didn't touch the E92 M3 production line. This was instead shipped 120 kilometers south, where it would be hand-built over a period of 18 months. Okay then, so this isn't a standard E92 M3. So what is it that separates this from the standard E92 M3 then? Well, let me take you through it. Let's start on the outside. Being a track-bred demon that it is, of course is adorned with the carbon front splitter and the adjustable rear carbon wing as well. Satin black 359M alloys sat in front of Brembo GTs with bespoke discs, and I believe that they left the factory with P0 Corsa tyres that were size specific to the GTS. And don't forget, this isn't just any V8, this is a high revving V8. You'll find yourself casually shifting somewhere around 8,000 RPM, and the shift lights are built into the tachometer and are more fun to watch light up than Blackpool. And when it comes to weight, the GTS is actually a slightly portly 1,520 kilograms, which makes it only, what was that, 70, 80 kilograms lighter than the standard E92 M3. But let's not forget, this does also have a great big whacking cage in the back, colour matched in fire orange, of course. And on the inside, they've managed to shed weight using the tried and true method of getting rid of stuff. The interior's been on Ozempic, the door cards are a lot lighter, the back seats have left the room, and the infotainment system has also been removed. That's right, this car is so hardcore, you don't even have the chance to be infotained. Elsewhere, materials have been swapped. Of course, we have the fabulous carbon fibre roof, plastic rear windows, unless you opted for the radio, in which case you would get rear plastic passenger windows, but the back window would have to be glass because it needs to be the one that has the antenna on it. So as you can imagine, most people opted for no radio, and this one is no exception. Titanium exhaust. I must admit though, one of the most hardcore M cars ever made has possibly some of the least hardcore font adorning some of the trim inside the car. I don't know what it is. I really don't like the flags or the font that's kind of like scratched into the carbon fiber on the dashboard. And the kick plates look like something I would have whipped up in Microsoft Word back in 2004. So, you know, instead of screaming track demon, it just kind of whispers carpal tunnel syndrome. And although the GTS is relatively obscure, even in the car world, there are a generation of gamers out there for whom that is not the case. Need for Speed players will be more than familiar with the GTS and its raw performance both in and out of game. This car was never offered in manual. All 138 examples featured 7-speed DCT gearboxes. And look at the gear selector in this car. It's so tiny and small. It looks like the head of a tadpole. This of course features the same glorious naturally aspirated V8 as the standard E92 M3, only this one has been tweaked a little bit. It's had its capacity upped from 4 litre to 4.4 litres, giving it a whole extra 30 horsepower. Now, if you're ever fortunate enough to own a GTS, there will come a day when a herd of standard E92 M3 owners will surround you and they will all begin pointing at you, spitting and laughing at you, because what you did is you went out and spent a bit more than twice what they did, only to get an extra 30 horsepower in return. So that is when it is time for you to pull out your pièce de résistance, the trump card, which you'll find just under the bonnet. And when the E92 boys inevitably begin laughing at you, you need only show them this, your fire orange, colour matched plastic engine cover. The second they see this bad boy, they'll know exactly where that extra £68,000 went. And inside here, we've also got 6-point harnesses, of course. Recaro Profi SPG XL buckets. These will run you about 1,200 quid a piece and are touted for being flame retardant. Now, some of you might think, wow, that's really cool. They don't catch fire, but it makes me want to ask BMW the question, why would I be on fire in the first place? So there you have it. One of the rarest, craziest cars BMW has ever put on the road. The M3 GTS. Thank you very much for watching. And don't forget, if you are in the market for buying, selling, or storing premium vehicles, you can reach out to us here at Paul Bentley Limited with the information you can find down in the description. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video where we'll have, no doubt, something very interesting and possibly very rare to show you. We'll see you then. Take care.